How are you all doing? How are you all doing? Welcome in all. Welcome in all. I'm looking at my other machine over here before I dive into the topic at hand. Happy Monday. Happy New Week, folks. Happy New Week. Happy New Week. Happy New Week. Yes. Happy New Week. I got it. I don't know what's going on here. Hello. How was your day, folks? How was your day? Hopefully you had a great day. Hopefully you had a great day. As you all know, I'm going to jump right on in. As you all know, I try to listen to C-SPAN or watch C-SPAN in the mornings on my machine here. The Washington Journal in particular, and I like the topics that they have. Plus, as I mentioned before, they do carry all the stuff that's going on in the House of Representatives and the Senate, of course, the whole entire Congress, etc. You can go over there and go back into the archives and find a whole lot of different topics that they are talking about each and every day. All of the live Senate hearings. Sometimes you will hear, "Hello, Files, how are you?" Sometimes sometimes, and I think a lot of the times they play the audio from the Supreme Court. I want to say all of them. They do try to be there for all of them, etc. Probably the ones that the Supremes allow, but nonetheless. I was watching today, and they had a particular topic with regards to. The topic was efforts to address affordable housing. I'm looking at my notes so I don't get off too track or what have you. And I entitled this live with regards to just homelessness, and then women and women being homeless, or women and homelessness, etc. So they kind of sort of go hand in hand. From what I have seen, and I am sure that just like it is with the drug epidemic, when people that share my reflection, when black people are out here talking about crack cocaine, just cocaine itself, heroin, and a whole lot of other illicit drugs that black people are on, and we were having problems and issues, etc., in our neighborhood, and pretty much the rest of the populace, others, people just weren't paying attention, just didn't care, on and on and on. And then when we came to this, what is it, the opioid crisis now, and now that other communities that don't share my reflection, it involves a lot of those folks and others, but mostly the majority they're not the majority population anymore, but nonetheless, it affected them a whole lot. Then, now is the time for us to do something and to help, and we need to put a whole lot of information and all this stuff too. Princess Sisters, hello, welcome in. Thank you for being here. Now we want to put a lot of money, a lot of emphasis, a lot of resources, whatever it may be, getting people trained up to handle such things. The medications that will prevent, the overdoses, etc., into sad things, etc. But it is what it is, folks. If you've been alive as long as I have, you will see a whole lot of things go around and come around, etc. But the person that they had on, his name was Dean Baker. He was the guest person that they were talking to. Welcome in, Joe Mama. If I see your thing pop up, then I will say hi. If I see your thing pop up, if I get into talking, I may not see it. So yeah, the guest was Dean Baker, and he was talking with regards to efforts to address affordable housing. So when the interviewer, she started with a USA Today article dated December 15th last year that said 653,000 families in the U.S. experience homelessness. And from what they were saying on it, that people go in and out of homelessness, maybe 1 week they may be homeless, and for 2 or 3 days they may not be homeless, or they may be, housed, or have home, or have a place to live for a period of time, and then at some other point they may not, and they go in and out, etc. So the guy also said that the government, they will, I just at random or pick a particular night, that they will go out and try to get a snapshot in time to find out how many people are actually homeless. Hello, Heather. Hello, Heather. How are you? How are you? Thank you so much for letting the people know where to go to click on the like button for me. To click on the like button for me. Yeah, that the government does. They pick a particular night, I guess, at random to go out and try to get a snapshot in time as to how many people are actually homeless. And I guess that is a monumental task. I am thinking it's for all of the 50 states here that we have. Not sure about the territories, but nonetheless, it's probably just the 50 states. And this is some of the information that they come up with at any particular time. And as of December the 15th, when they last did this particular one, I don't, then he did not say, and if he did, I may have missed it, if they do it um, once a month or every week or what have you. But at that particular time, it was 653,000 families in the U.S. that had experienced homelessness. And like I mentioned, and they mentioned in the uh, when they did the showing this morning on C-SPAN, that people go in and out of homelessness. And sometimes it may be the fact that some people, unless you see them actually out there in a tent, or they should they should have done it during the hottest and coldest times of the year to get a good measure. Yeah, and that, it's always sunny in Philadelphia. No, that was the name of the show. But California and Florida, they are warm all the time. And then some of the other eastern, states are not so much. And then you got the Midwest, they're not so much with regards to it. But they said that the government does it. Either they are sending out, people that they are contracting, separate aside from federal government employees to do this, et cetera, to go out and do these particular things, et cetera. But some people may say that they aren't homeless, and they actually may in fact be homeless because they may be staying with someone, a particular night or something, and the worker goes and sees them, interview them, asks them if they're homeless. No, because they have because they're going to go to their cousin's house and stay there tonight. But the next night they may be. Once again, the in and out of homelessness, and it could be for a month or 2 weeks, etc. You have some place to live, and then all of a sudden you don't. And one of the things that I'm going to talk about is how can a person get to that particular point? There are so many things. And I just want to go over some of the things that were talked about in this particular C-SPAN showing this morning. So they were also talking about that when the VED happened and there was a moratorium on rent, people did not have to pay their rent. At some point during the VED, they came up with it. People did not have to pay their rent because no one had a job. They couldn't pay rent. This was something that each individual state government decided that they were going to do, that they were going to shut down their state, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, paycheck to paycheck is the hardest, and that's part of what what it is. That's part of what it is that gets people to being homeless. So they had the moratorium where people didn't have to pay rent for 1, 2, or 2.5 years, etc., so forth and so on. But when 2023 came around, all of that was wiped out. The landlords, and I don't know whether people's mortgages were, there was a moratorium on that, whether people kept paying their mortgages. I guess if you could continue to pay your mortgage, you did, because you know that in the end, of course, it would just like with the rent, the fees, the rent would just keep accumulating for all the time that you weren't paying. And then when the government said it was done, now you're back on your own. You and the landlord are going to have to tussle it out, as it were. And of course, if you couldn't pay, they were going to sue you for that. And of course, a lot of these places, landlords know that they weren't going to ever get that money, but it's a blot on your credit report. It's a blot on your credit report, and I am sure that they can write off that as an expense, to their business, being a landlord, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, when in 2023, when everyone declared that the vid was over, back to normal, let's move on from this, et cetera. When you're saying government was telling you this, and I'm not gonna go off into that. Now you're back to square one. You're back to having to pay the rent, and if you weren't paying your mortgage, you held off for a while, etc., then now you're back to doing that. And if not, you're going to go through the foreclosure thing, which can take some time, just depending. Another report that they mentioned was a HUD report that said that the spike in homelessness was driven by increases among all populations and demographics. So people that we normally found out or knew were in the homeless population at large, veterans, black people, folks that might have had different types of addictions, etc. Uh, Everyone else now was in that pool, all the different populations. And now, because I mentioned women and children found themselves out here in homeless. Yes, they were out here and homeless way before now, but I'm sure that the numbers have grown exponentially, and now it's an issue. You see how something that is an issue all the time, but when a different group of people are involved, or there's more children and or women involved, then now it gets to be a problem. And it is the case that possibly some of these people that didn't have to pay rent for a particular time, now the evictions are starting to happen and they find themselves homeless, which is one of the things that I talked about. Now I'm just going over some of the things that were mentioned and talked about in the C-SPAN showing this morning. When the interviewer from C-SPAN asked Mr. Baker, Dean Baker, who was the guest, what did she ask? The factors contributing to, the homelessness, etc. And he replied, inequality. Now I get it that before I go on, I get it that when you're doing an interview, etc., you may not say all the things that you are thinking that is actually the answer to the question when you are being interviewed, because you may, you're like, okay, what, okay. A lot of things are going through your brain, like what is going to be the next question, and you may not get everything out that you want to get out when you are doing an interview. And I understand that happens. Not to say that this is the case, but that is a possibility. Just like when I'm doing these things, there are some things that, I may not mention, etc., that what have you. But he went on to say, and I wrote down some of the things that he said, paraphrasing here, that the money is going to the top income earners, and these income earners, they're buying, homes, lots of homes, for whatever reason, and maybe to rent, or just to have, or maybe to at some point give to their children or their grandchildren, etc., whatever it is, okay, or maybe to at some point sell or to rent, etc. And of course, if they're high income earners, they may be getting property in places that are high income and places that may not be so high income. But that's a misnomer now, because every place is a high income place nowadays with regards to rent and buying a home, and etc. And then he also mentioned about land. Of course, we know we just have so much land. Once the land runs out, that is it. So these high income earners are buying land, and they may not be doing anything with the land, just letting the land. Thank you so much, Sanford. It's like, that's my man. That's my man. They're buying this land and may not be doing anything with it. They may not be developing it, or not developing it so that people that are low income, which he mentioned quite a bit, low income, can't afford to, they're not developing it into apartments, etc., for low income, etc. They are just buying the land to have it, and they may be using it for agriculture, or not using it at all, or maybe down the road they have plans for it, but it's not to, house people in a community, or bring people in to make sure that they have some place to live. No, they're not thinking about the man down here on the totem pole, as it were. Hello, TSM Rapper. How are you? How are you? Thanks for coming in. Thanks for coming in. I do appreciate it. Thanks for coming in. Yeah, Fred Sanford. We can learn a lot by going back to some of these 70s, early 70s shows for him, and some of the early 80s shows. We can learn a lot. And so in my brain, what he was pretty much saying is that these high income earners, greed is a motivating factor for them. Now, they did have people call in. They had homeowners call in, renters call in, and all others. And I caught a few of the things I caught a few instances of the people that called in, and some of the things that were saying. The first lady, she was a homeowner, And she said that people need to start working on and focusing on generational wealth. But also she mentioned, and this is a valid point. Hello, conscious business services and opportunities. How are you? How are you? Thanks for being here. She also mentioned about Medicaid and being over 55. And I guess if you get sick or something and you own your home outright already before you get sick, or etc., and there's no one to take care of you, and you may have to depend on the state, they're going to start looking at your assets, and that may be taken up from out from under you. So she was mentioning that, and mentioning that those particular rules needed to be changed, etc. I don't know what all the rules are, but yeah. Thanks so much. Thanks so much for the second conscious business services and opportunities for telling folks where to hit the like button, to where to hit the like button. And there was a man that called in from Oregon, and he was talking about people not wanting to work for $15 or $18 an hour, which is something that I see quite a bit in some of these videos of people talking about the young folks nowadays don't want to work for $15 to $18 an hour. You know, they're not getting ahead with those particular low wages, and that just isn't it. And he also mentioned about sometimes the cities and the counties, they're not down with building low income housing. He also talked about there's so many restrictions, etc. And Mr. Baker also said that there are so many restrictions that sometimes we have to put aside the restrictions that are so overbearing so that we can build housing for low income folks to where they need it. Dwight from California talking about other rich folks not wanting things to happen unless you kiss the ring. Barbara was mentioning, she was from Florida, she was a renter, she was 75, and she mentioned about mortgages. Of course, you know, mortgages are normally at 30 years. You can do one for 15 years, and you can always pretty much pay how you want to pay your mortgage. But she was mentioning something about extending the mortgage time frame from 30 years to 40 years, 45 years, like they have done with vehicles. So, okay. And then this was very interesting. Jerome in Indiana called in, and he said that there are 5 million, they said 5 million immigrations, I'm thinking immigrants, or maybe I wrote it down incorrectly, and that the government was paying for them to have either hotels, apartments, etc., but we can't take care of the folks that are already here. Like, why is that happening when we're taking care of the illegal immigrants that are coming in here, giving them housing and debit cards and food, etc., 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 cell phones, etc., and we cannot take care of the folks that are here, one that are homeless already to begin with, but we have the money and funds to provide them with homes, with shelter, either rec center from places, schools, da 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 da. What is happening? And his answer was interesting, and he did mention to me that he worked in D.C., Washington, D.C. for 25 years, so I get it, but nonetheless. He talked about the illegal immigrants coming here to work. He talked about most of the time that a lot of them, you know, don't have adequate housing, that they may be in and out of homelessness themselves. What else did he have? And he talked about they're adding to our economy because they will do some of the jobs that native born Americans won't do. But he never answered the question. He never answered the question, why is the government doing this? Why is the government providing the illegal immigrant shelter and not the people that are actually born here, that are Americans and that pay taxes here, and why we have this homeless situation going on? But they're able to get the governments, whether state, local, or federal, to give them housing. He never answered that question. Unacceptable to me. So that was it from some of the calls and some of the things that were said. And I made a little list of. I went online, and there's plenty of videos here on YouTube with regards to women being homeless or just homelessness itself. And of course, you all know and see these things out here. But some of the things that I wrote down that can be a contributing factor to homelessness and here they are, not in any particular order. You are one paycheck away from being homeless. If your job goes away, if you get fired, because of something you do, your job goes away, the job's going overseas, they're just having layoffs, etc. Uh, you go on strike and the strike goes on for an extended period of time, you can't pay your rent, you can't pay your mortgage, you don't have any emergency fund, etc. Some of the things that I talk about a lot on here. That uh, medical bills, and before you get to the medical bills, someone is getting sick or has a chronic illness, etc., that is going on in your family, or it could be two people, it could be your child, you, etc., but you're still getting up, going to work, etc., but it gets to a point where you can no longer do that. So one sickness from yourself or a family member, and that can put you into uh, homelessness, and of course the medical bills that come after that can put you into homelessness. High medical bills on an ongoing basis for many and many, many years. You need the care, you're going to go and make sure that you get the care. And I know and I understand that a lot of people do not go and get the care. Been there, done that, etc. Depression. You may have had some type of trauma in your childhood. Like I said, any of the types of depression, anxiety, etc. in your childhood, or maybe something that happened, in your teenage years, or when you became an adult, etc. Um, you are the type, or were the type, that always ran away from issues. You just blocked it out, and then you got to a point where you just could not manage or function, just doing the normal things like holding down a job, keeping your rent going, keeping your mortgage going, etc. Could be that. It could be divorce. You find yourself a newly divorced woman or man, and if you were, renting, then everyone goes their separate ways, and there's, you have to get your own place, rent your own place, etc. Move in with someone, they have to get their own place, move in with someone, or sadly, you find yourself homeless, rather immediately or after a period of time, you find yourself homeless, divorce. Or if you are in a situationship where, you're not married to anyone, no one's married to you, and it gets crazy. Initially, you guys were renting, it was 50-50, it was going along great, and now something happened and the situationship is over and done with, and here you are. Once again, the same thing as with a divorce, each person has to find a new place to go and live, etc. And square up what's left for the rent part. If one person stays there, the other person knows that, hey, you cannot come back in here. I'm going to stay here, finish out the rent, and then move on, or whatever it is. But a lot of times, if it's 50-50, you already know or knew that you didn't have it to begin with like that, because you needed the assistance of someone else. Not knocking or what have you. Been there, done that. Not knocking anything. Just saying some of the ways that we can find ourselves in homelessness. And like I mentioned before, whether it happens all at one time or over, a period of time, then it is what it is. What else did I have on here? And of course, we have drugs. It could be alcoholism, prescription drugs, or, illegal illicit drugs, etc. Are just some of the ways that we can find ourselves, homeless, in a homeless situation, etc. Yeah. And some of the things that some of the things that are out of our control, but with an asterisk, is how I put it on here. Some of the factors that can contribute to homelessness: high rent. Okay, you're not setting the rent prices. The local economy may be setting the rent price, and of course the complex, the people that run or own the complex, they're setting it, etc. And of course, they're looking at the local economy, what other people are charging, etc., what the local economy is in a particular place, to kind of sort of set the rent prices. And of course, the rent will continue to go up each and every year. So that is out of your control. That is out of your control. And of course, this is a budgeting channel, getting our money together, having an emergency fund. And of course, when we know that we're going to be renting, we know that the price is going to go up each year. You don't know how much, so set aside something for that. You will have a whole year to figure it out. And it is my hope that for the folks that are renting, that they're giving you enough notice. Like, hey, the rent is, they tell you 6 months in advance, hey, the rent is going to go up an additional $100 at the beginning of the year. So you have enough time to think about whether you want to stay with that apartment complex. And of course, if you do, you can start saving. You know, if you don't think that your work job situation is going to change, you're going to be bringing in more income to fill in the gap, etc. Zoning in a particular place, you have no control over that unless you get involved in politics. Translation by a politician. No, just kidding. But you know, going to, you know, all the different meetings, you know, the town hall meetings that they are having on any and everything. And if zoning is something that is of interest to you because you want more low income housing to come to your area, or more affordable housing to come to your area, then you need to get involved in politics and start pressing the flesh, talking to folks, see what's going on, making what you want to happen known, good, bad, or indifferent from your perspective. What is going to benefit you and your family with regards to this. And of course, we know that home prices are outrageous anywhere in USA. And of course, with the high home prices comes the high mortgage payments, uh, high interest rates. Currently, I think a couple of weeks back, I heard that it went down a skosh, but not quite sure. But it was hovering around 7%, etc. So if you know, if you're renting right now and you have it in your mind, you desire to have a home, to become a homeowner, start planning and saving for that. Find a way, find a way, find a way. If it is your desire at this particular time to want to jump out there, purchase a home, plan and save for that particular thing. Plan and save for it. Like the lady, I think the first lady that called in, she was 75 and she was a homeowner. Our healthcare system, and what she was mentioning, if you own your home and you get sick and there's no one to take care of you and the state has to come in and do things for you, they're going to be looking at your asset and they're going to be looking to grab that asset so that they can get their money back from you, or you may, of course, find yourself having to sell that asset so that you can get someone in there to take care of you, etc. That's a whole other thing by itself, just the healthcare cost in of itself. So a way that you can tackle that if you are a family and understand that jobs, they have, you know, healthcare, etc., and you have to pay for that, etc., or pay for a portion of that, etc. But just make sure that you have enough healthcare insurance now for you and your children, and then as you get older, that when the body starts to break down a little bit, it doesn't happen for everyone. When your body starts to break down a little bit, and you can't do some of the things that you normally could do for yourself due to an accident, or the body just breaking down naturally, or you have some type of chronic illness already, then you're able to, afford, care, whether it be on an ongoing basis or, just someone to come in and, do some house cleaning, make sure you get your bills, et cetera, et cetera. A whole lot of different things happen, to people once they start to get some age on them. And then we have to consider family and friends may not live near you, and if they do, they may not want to do that. And of course, if they have a family themselves and children they need to take care of, and they need to live their life, then, where will you find yourself? So budget, start to budget and plan for these things. I don't know too much about the health savings account, but of course, plenty of information out here on that. And one guy that called in, he was from Texas, and he talked about a thing that was a contributing factor, which is out of a person's control, is the lot size. I guess from what he was saying, that the different states, if you want to like build a home, then have particular lot sizes that it has to be at least this before they will maybe give you permits and all this other stuff to consider building a home, etc., or for others to consider building a home. Hello, MC the Shiznit. How are you? How are you? Thanks for coming in. Thanks for coming in. Before they will let you build a home. So that is another something that is out of your control. Something that is out of your control. So people are out here living, just trying to make it day to day, And like Heather, Chronic Condition Crafton mentioned, paycheck. A lot of folks are paycheck to paycheck and just barely making it. And most folks are one paycheck away from, or one major medical bill away from, or whatever away from being homeless or finding themselves in a homeless situation for an extended period of time or for a short period of time, etc. And it's my hope that people haven't burned too many bridges with folks so that they can, be able to call on someone that may be able to help them, give them a place for them and or their children to stay. Because sometimes we find that a lot of women, they may have children also in too, and some people, it may be okay with one adult person, etc. But when others are coming along, the person's child or children, it may get a little complicated for some people, just depending on their particular situation, because no one wants to get caught up in any type of drama. I'm not knocking people helping folks that are homeless or what have you. I am just saying some people are thinking not just trying to help you. They want to do that. I get it. Family and friends, as much as they possibly can. Hello, Tamika, will want to help you in your situation, but they're not going to do it at a fault to where some craziness may jump off, etc., and a whole lot of other stuff. So please bear that in mind. And of course, just in general, you don't want to be burning bridges, not because, oh, now I'm homeless and I need to go and ask my friend Mary, who I cussed out several times and said that she had bad children. She's like the only person, that will let me and my kid come. She's the only person that's left out there for me to ask, and you already know what that will possibly go. It will possibly be a no, you can't come and live with me. Do you remember all the times you cussed me out and said, disparaging things about my children? We just don't want to be burning bridges for crazy and stupid and silly reasons, etc. Not to say that you won't end up homeless if you do or don't. I am just saying, we just have to be careful about all that we do, our associations, and how we manage our associations, our friendships, etc. Whether it's with, people that we just know that aren't related to us and those that are related to us. Because I think most people will try to go to family first. They will try to go to family first because that may be a place where people might be a little bit more, might be a little bit more willing to assist, might be more willing to assist. And sometimes if a family member is able to help, they may help you in a different way and not in the way that you want. You may want to have them say, yes, you can move in with me for an extended period of time or forever until you get on your feet. And then that may become problematic when there aren't any rules. This is just me and how my brain, when there aren't any rules or set up for, okay, how am I going to help you get to where you need to be so that you can get your own place, in a particular period of time, etc. Because just like I tell my grandchildren, the two oldest ones, they are adults, etc. I used to tell them all the time, if you're going to come and live with Nana, there's going to be rules. And it's nothing crazy, but there's going to be rules. You're not going to stay here forever, and I'm going to help you make sure that, you're going to be out here and you're going to be working more than 40 hours a week because you're young and you can do it, okay? You're young and you can do it, and that way you can save a whole lot of money because, living here in Maryland and any place USA nowadays is not cheap, So, but yeah, there will be rules, not just, come and live with Nana forever and no, no lounging, no celebrating, celebrating every day, no more public housing. I've done that too. But yeah. And so, like I was mentioning, sometimes the help that, family and or friends may want to give you may be different from your coming to actually live, live with them, etc. They may, group of may get together and they may be able to foot a hotel for you for a week or two or something, or do something for a month, with you or something, and then they're going to give you some, intensive help to try to get you back on your feet and have you, and if you're not working, you're going to be on the phone calling each and every charity agency, every state, local, etc. place to get you back on your feet. But it is becoming a problem. The homelessness among women and children, and then of course the women with the children, the woman that coming with their child or children, etc. It's becoming a thing. And just as a side note, I am, you know, of course on YouTube, there's everything on YouTube, and sometimes you don't know whether something is true or not true. I am seeing some videos with regards to the young men, men or whatever, and then maybe some women talking about the strong independent woman, and now they're finding themselves in a situation to where they may be homeless, or they're living with people that they don't want to live with the family friends, or some guy just so they can have a place. There's a ton of videos out there with regards to that too, and we just all the time have to make sure that we are minding our money, budgeting, counting our pennies, saving for that rainy day, because it could happen to anyone, and not just with regards to being homeless. It could be regard to anything. Your car breaks down, that's your only car that you had in the family. It wasn't a two-car family. It's problematic because both people need to go to work. They may not be on the same schedule to where they can, one can go to work and both get in there, drop one off, you go to work, you pick the other. May not be the situation. Now you got to plan for public transportation in some way, shape, form, or fashion. Just a whole lot of things. So we definitely want to make sure that we are, being mindful of our money and, what we're doing with it, and planning and saving for that rainy day, planning and saving for that rainy day. Another thing that some other options for housing that one of the callers mentioned was about mobile homes and tiny homes. Um, Very economical, and it depends on what all you want in these tiny homes, because I watched some of the YouTube videos on the tiny homes, but just enough so that getting a tiny home to where you just have pretty much your bare minimum that you can live in and go on about your day-to-day activities, going to your job, taking care of your kids, etc. Yeah, tiny homes, and there are some places that don't allow it, some that do. There's probably a whole bunch of regulations if you want to build one from ground up. Probably a whole lot of regulations if you want to have one, just a pre-made one and just place it on land someplace, etc. A whole bunch of stuff. But those were some other options for housing, and besides building a home or a home that has already been constructed. The guest, and I'm reading, also had some solutions to affordable housing. I may have mentioned them. Building more housing and easing the zoning restrictions. I mentioned that. For new housing, having a set aside for low to moderate income folks, etc. And this can be problematic for some developers, some builders, etc. But if they want to grab onto the money or the land that the state owns, then they may go in for that. And then we find out that sometimes that can get a little tricky. And in the end, they may not hold up to all that they're supposed to do with regards to providing low to moderate income to people that fall into the low to moderate income. Maybe they were supposed to give, if they're building, let's say, 150 units housing, they're supposed to give 30 to 40 units for low to moderate income folks, and all of a sudden it becomes 25. You follow what I'm saying? Because they want the other 15 or so, whatever, for them to pay the regular rent, etc. So that can get a little tricky if folks aren't watching and making sure. And most of the time, people are just so excited that one, they're going to be building housing, and two, they're going to have some low to moderate income folks in there that 15 or so families aren't going to get that because they done put 25 in there. It is what it is. Sad. He also mentioned about limit vacation rentals, Airbnb. He talked about it. I don't know what that was all about, why he would want to limit that. That's all what, maybe someone is making money renting out, or renting out maybe their home, or maybe they have a home that they are using that solely for renting out Airbnb. Maybe they shouldn't do that. I'm thinking is what he's wanting to happen. Don't do that. Just sell it to someone or have someone rent it that's in low to moderate income. Maybe that was his thing. He mentioned about converting office space, and there is from what I hear, a lot of commercial places, a lot of office space that is not being utilized. No one is renting out these spaces, he mentioned about converting those to housing for folks, etc. And he also mentioned that it can be done easily in some places with some buildings and not so much with others. And what else did he mention? He also mentioned he had written a book about a vacant property tax. And based on the amount of time that a particular home that is not being used as a primary residence for the most part is vacant and unused, meaning it could be it could be utilized. Someone could be in there paying rent, etc., or just straight up buying it. That as long as it sits unvacant, that um, the state should tax that particular property, etc., if it remains vacant for a particular period of time. So now you want to tax someone. Okay, that doesn't make sense. That's not helpful. And when because people are always watching their money, the people that have money and working on their not working on, but have their generational wealth. They may be trust fund babies. They're trying to keep their money and add to the money that they have already, that they've inherited, however they came about it, whether they worked hard, they pulled themselves up, etc., and they amassed a fortune. They want to keep that fortune and add to it, etc. And now you want to tax them. They're not going to have that. And trust and believe they have a politician or politicians that they have paid for already. So that isn't going to happen. That isn't going to happen. And another thing that the interviewer, she read off a report about private developers rejecting government funding. Yes, because there's so many hoops. Like I mentioned before, Mr. Baker was mentioning that sometimes these restrictions on building housing is so crazy and overbearing. It's just crazy that they're like, no, we're not going to do this. We're not going to take any money from these folks. They can get up a whole group of people and some of their other rich buddies and get together and buy the land, etc., and then do what it is that they want to do and develop it, because the state is going to want money however it comes, whether they're involved in it or not, with regards to building housing, etc. Yeah. So yeah, please be mindful folks, besides just homelessness in of itself, but women and homelessness, and women finding themselves homeless. Yeah, it's I think it has gotten to be a big thing, and whether it's promoted a lot in the news, I don't know. I don't watch the news. I go on YouTube and look at different types of news, all spectrums, etc. But yeah, whatever it is that we can control and whatever it is that we can do to keep ourselves from getting homeless or being in any other situation before we get to being homeless, please, we need to do that. Men, ladies, whomever, it doesn't matter. You have income coming in, whatever that is, your job, etc. Please make sure you're doing the best that you can with it. Budgeting is going to be key, like I mentioned all the time, budgeting. And if I have said something here that maybe you have not thought about, like a health savings account, because there are a lot of jobs that do not provide health care, health insurance, etc. And you may be on Medicaid or something with the state or what have you, and that is a good, been there, done that. That's a good thing too. Hello, Val. How are you? Val Creates. How are you? There may be, they may not offer health insurance on your job, and you may be getting Medicaid. Like I mentioned, I was on that before too, and my daughter also in too at one particular point, and a great benefit, etc. And sometimes with these programs, even with getting EBT, etc. I'm doing good, Val. How are you? Sometimes if you make 50 cents more, a dollar more, then you can't qualify for, getting food stamps, EBT, SNAP, whatever they call it, wherever you are located. And not sure whether that's the same with Medicaid. It's been many moons ago since I, was on that, but just check with your state. As always, check with your state, try to get the benefits and the services that you need from your state. You're out here, you're paying taxes and trust. If you don't get it, someone else is going to get it. So definitely, if you need some type of assistance, and even before you need the assistance, just like if you have a business, before you need the money, ask for the money, ask for the loan, have your stuff in a row. Because if you know that health insurance is something that you don't have and you need to get it to help you shore up your family, for a period of time until you can do better, then do that. Go down there and apply for those benefits. The most they can say is no, and you don't have to. You don't have to be a one-trick pony on it. Apply and apply again. Other than that, they have health savings accounts out here, and I get it. If you're working 2 or 3 minimum wage jobs, it's going to be hard to even think about saving, any money for something else on the side. But you have to find a way. You have to find a way. No one is going to save you or me, as I always say. And I don't. And I know that sometimes people may think she just doom and gloom. She's always saying no one's going to save you, but in reality, no one is going to save you. Just like with the benefits from the state or your local, you're going to have to go down there and apply, talk to folks, give away your firstborn and all this other stuff to get some benefits nowadays, unless you fall into a particular category. But yes, you have to take care of yourself, and if these services are out there, go and apply for them. Go and apply for them before you need them. And like I said, if I mentioned something in here that may be helpful to you, then please do so. If you think that it is getting rough or has gotten rough. Hello, Deborah Catch It by Faith. How are you? How are things in New York? Interesting. If you think that you may have an issue or are beginning to have an issue with your rent, go down there and see what services you can get so that you can get with regards to your rent, to see if you can get some type of assistance with your rent for a period of time. Go. You have to be out here managing and thinking for yourself all the time how you're going to be able to navigate all of this stuff. I saw you say crazy. How you going to be able to navigate all this stuff? Because if it's just you and your child or children, then it's just you and your child, and just you and your children. And of course, you are the adult, so you're going to have to make sure that they are taken care of. And it's better to get a head jump on stuff before it gets to critical mass, as they say, before it gets to be critical. So if you need help with your rent, if you don't have health insurance at your particular company, your job, they don't offer it, you don't think you have enough, go and apply for benefits with your state government, etc. Go and do that. I'm trying to go back to see some of the things that I mentioned. I mentioned about divorce and a situationship. If it's looking ugly, if you have in your mind, I don't care what the other person have in their mind, if you have in your mind that, hey, this isn't working out for me, and if it's a situationship and we've been doing 50-50, because already at the beginning you know that it's not, you can't do it alone, and it's not working for you at any particular moment, you need to start saving those duckies, finding a way out for yourself and your children. And most of this is for women with children, because you're probably going to be looked a little bit more favorable if you have children in tow, vice it just being you. But nonetheless, that's not a reason to not apply, even if it's just you. But yeah, what else did I have on here? Something, situationship, divorce, applying for medical stuff, etc. And I did mention trauma, what have you. If you have it's not regarding homelessness, but if you have had some trauma in your life from your childhood, your teen years, or into adulthood, etc., please try and get the help that you need with regards to that. Yeah. And then some of the other things that we can't control, zoning, the cost of these houses in anywhere USA. We know those high cost areas like New York, pretty much any place along the East Coast. Nowadays, it's very expensive and hard to live. And Deborah Catch It by Faith will say that it is crazy there in New York. Yeah, I've been hearing lots and lots. about New York. And I did see, and I didn't look at the entire thing. I just saw a clip, but I think we're going to go back and watch your mayor, Deborah Catcher by Faith, um, Mayor Adams. There, he was on the Breakfast Club. It might have been last week or something other like that. So I think I'm going to go and watch that video. What have you? So this was just my little rant from an interview that was done on C-SPAN this morning that I watched and made some notes and some other things. So yeah, we have to be careful. We have to be careful, folks. The weather is warming up, but eventually the weather turns cold. So before, if you are, like I mentioned, and it seems as though I can't say nothing, if you are having any type of issue with, you know, healthcare costs, rent, go to your local social services department and see what all services they can give you. Talk with your local charities because they have sometimes an inroad, they have connects, to government officials, etc. Because they kind of sort of work hand in hand, and I'm talking money in hand, one hand, that type of thing. Yeah, you have to take care of yourself. You have to take care of yourself. You have to take care of yourself. No one will. And you have to, as I always say, advocate for yourself. I did a live, it might have been last week. Yeah, I had to do it last week because this is a new week wonder. Speak up and speak up for yourself. You have to advocate for yourself. Above all and anything else, you have to advocate for yourself. And of course, if you're advocating for yourself and you have children, they see and hopefully learn to advocate for themselves also and that is a good thing. That is a good thing. So yeah. I think I'm going to leave it at that, folks, and get off of here. I got my fan on. Fans only, not only fans. How has you guys' day been going? Hopefully it went well for you all. Yesterday was Easter Sunday, and most people, say the next today would be Easter Monday, and they consider that the actual resurrection day, etc. But it's neither here nor there. Things have changed a whole lot since way back when. Yeah, but yeah, women and homelessness, just homelessness itself is beginning to be. It has been an issue, but it's getting a lot of attention now. It is getting a lot of attention now, and I think primarily because there are women here. Um, I did watch a video before coming on. It was from a Simple Home U, like a Simple Home University, but a Simple Home U, and there was this lady. She was a veteran, an Air Force veteran. She didn't say how long she was in the Air Force, but nonetheless. But she said she lived under a bridge for 15 years. It was great. It was great. It was great. I really enjoyed it and listening to it, etc. And really interesting. I think this was some years ago, but I did see that. And there's plenty of others out there also too. Yeah. But I am going to get off of here, folks. Thanks to everyone that came in to hit the like button, to listen to me for a little while. I do appreciate it. Of course, this is my channel, Wanda Budgets and Beyond, and a lot of these things are the and beyond, but I do have videos of me, cash stuffing, etc. And doing a little chit chat when I'm doing the cash stuffing, etc. Because like I say in most of my videos, trying to get my stuff in one sock, also, and two, so that I can save myself. But trust and believe, if I need to go to the state, I'm there, honey. I am there. I've been there and done that many moons ago. But yeah, if you're paying taxes and paying into it, I'm going to get something out of it if I need the help. If I need the help or assistance, I am going to get it. Hi, Tamika. And yes, take care, everyone. I am going to end this live now. I do appreciate you all coming in. Again, I don't take it for granted. Take care and have a great rest of your evening, great rest of your Monday. Bye-bye.